Good morning, everybody, or whatever time zone you happen to abide in physically. It's nice to see everybody today. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to be part of this really wonderful month-long event. The plan for this session is to begin here with some didactic instruction and at least one activity. I promise to put some activities in here. And then we're going to go on a short tour for a behind-the-scenes look at a couple of our educational sites. My name is Alice Krueger. I'm Gentle Heron in Second Life. I'm going to talk at you a bit today about how Virtual Ability supports virtual world education, educators, and students before we do our walkabout. I'm proud to say that I'm a former educator. Well, I'm not proud of being a former educator because I had to leave the profession due to my disability. I have multiple sclerosis and I'm no longer employable. As an educator, I began my career as a science teacher way back in the day when we taught students how to calculate using a slide rule. Does anyone here remember that technology tool? Am I that old? I could never use one. I can teach you, Fidget. I know how to teach you. Thanks, Shyla. You make me feel better. Thanks, Maggie. The texture has changed, and educators are using virtual worlds for instruction, and I find that simply amazing. I see some of us have some problems today. I'm not the only person having problems. Move on to talking about Virtual Ability, which is really two different but related things. First of all, it's an international cross-disability peer community in Second Life and other virtual worlds. We have over 1,000 members from 6 continents. Our members have one or more of the following types of disabilities: physical disabilities such as amputation, paralysis, or cerebral palsy, mental come on, a leg here. Emotional disabilities such as depression, anxiety disorders like PTSD. Developmental disorders such as autism spectrum or Down syndrome, or sensory disorders such as deafness or blindness. We've been a community in Second Life since June 2007, so over 8 years now. I'm going to apologize for Second Life. I have been crashing a lot lately, so I'm hoping that that's not a sign that that's going to happen. Virtual Ability has an existence outside of virtual, somewhat less well known. We are Virtual Ability Inc., and we operate as a U.S. nonprofit organization. Our nonprofit is a wide range of disabilities, providing support for them to enter and thrive in online virtual worlds. These resources to assist them need accessibility of their virtual world courses. Yes, worlds plural. I'd like to share with you some ways that might work. Please take out a blank note card for a brief activity. I'm going to ask you to do something and write down a few notes on your note card. Then in a little bit, we're going to share what you observe with the rest of us. So you ready? Got your note cards? Here we go. Take a minute to look around you here in the auditorium. Write down on your note card any accessibility features you notice here, or any that you noticed as you arrived this morning. You can get up and walk around if you want. I'm going to hush now for a minute as you make your observations, and here's the pause. And hello to all the people who've come in since I last greeted people. Okay, now if you would please copy and paste from your note card some of the accessibility features that you observed. Just put them here in nearby chat. Cat noticed ramps. That's a good one. Fidget also noticed the ramps and large visuals for the screen and the signs. And let's see, Shyla noticed large signage, text plus voice, as well as Second Life allows voice at the moment, right? And of course, one advantage of text plus voice is if SL goes wonky. Jaden says wide seat row spacing. And Fidget has noticed the names of the seats. Did you wonder about the water inside the auditorium? We put that there to calm people when we talk about troublesome topics, and the same is true for all of the plants around here. And did you notice the 3 layers of seating? They have slightly different shades of color of the green carpeting. And that's to help people visually distinguish that there are different levels of flooring. Everybody for being such good observers. Now here's one thing you did not notice anywhere in or around the auditorium. The slide shows the universal symbol of handicap accessibility. That's the white stylized wheelchair on a blue background. In fact, you're not going to find this symbol anywhere on virtual ability property. You might be asking yourself, if virtual ability is all about accessibility, why wouldn't they use this symbol on their builds? And the answer is, it's a symbol of segregation. We use our Second Life builds to model aspects of accessibility that could be used in both Second Life and the physical world. This slide shows an antique water fountain sign indicating different fountains for white and colored use. Just as surely as the signage indicating racial segregation has been discarded as our society becomes more integrated, so we have to work toward the use of universal design to ensure inclusion of people with disabilities in all facets of society, including education. Universal design is a set of design principles to ensure full accessibility of environments. There is a link you can click and store for later. Universal design for learning is and it has principles to optimize learning for all learners. There's another link for you to click for later. People with disabilities may or may not use assistive technology in their daily lives. Assistive technology, which we abbreviate as AT, is any device, tool, or software that improves a person's capabilities to perform their tasks for daily living. How many of you use eyeglasses? Fidget does. I do. Oh, quite a few people do. Wow, I should have asked who doesn't. A lot of us use telephones or email, car, bicycle, public transit. Those could all be considered assistive technology. But that's not what we're usually concerned about when we think of students who will be using assistive technology in our coursework. What we're thinking about is accessing material that's presented on the computer. Virtual Ability has identified 4 types of conditions that may be aided by the use of assistive technology. I'd like to share those with you now. First, most of us access our computers using a keyboard and mouse. But what if you had no hands, or if you were paralyzed from the neck down? You couldn't type, could you? Well, yes, you can type with no hands. A variety of forms of assistive technology exist to enable hands-free typing. Here you see a young woman on the left with cerebral palsy. She's using a head wand to type, and she uses her foot to operate a trackball. The young man on the right controls his avatar in Second Life with sip and puff technology. He types using voice recognition software. Others in our community use laser-detected eye gaze technology, or they use switches with an on-screen scrolling keyboard to type. Most of these technologies work quite well to operate an avatar and communicate in a virtual world. Next, we all think of virtual worlds as highly visual environments. In fact, the high-level graphics cards recommended for accessing Second Life are evidence of this. But what if you could not see at all? Or you had low vision that is not corrected by eyeglasses? Or what if you could see fine except you were colorblind, or maybe you're dyslexic? Blind people do use virtual worlds. They access the world through the same screen reader software they use to read website material. This could be software named JAWS or NVIDIA. This software reads aloud the HTML code of websites. It's the reason you should include alt code to describe images on web-based course materials. In virtual worlds, a text-only viewer provides a blind person access to a detailed text description of her environment. It tells her, for instance, the names of avatars around her, the names of objects in her immediate surroundings, and the texts of chat, IMs, note cards, and her inventory. While it's not ideal, text-based viewers do allow blind students to participate in Second Life classes, but only if your environment is prepared. One accessibility feature that you can't see here is that all the objects in the auditorium are uniquely named, including every single individual seat cushion. We're going to go back a little bit here. Sorry about that. Obviously, my editing of the speakeasy did not work. Well, working at it. I'm trying. The third category of problems that students might have is being unable to speak and or hear. So those who are deaf or hard of hearing, those who are mute, and those who have difficulty mentally processing sounds. For many of these students, text is the preferred input and or output medium. Oral instruction, discussions, or evaluations and examinations are not accessible to those students. As the previous category here, the solutions mainly require human effort rather than technology. Voice-to-text transcriptionists, such as those sitting in front of the speaker in this slide, showing the auditorium in use. And yes, there is voice-to-text software, and yes, it works pretty well in virtual worlds. In instances where speakers are unwilling or unable to type up their remarks ahead of time. And I find this to be absolutely necessary when I'm responding orally to questions. I just cannot type and speak at the same time. In your physical world classroom, you might hire a sign interpreter or a CART typist for your deaf students. Those solutions also work well in Second Life. A fourth category of student difficulties is the inability to understand, concentrate, or remember. Disability types causing these kinds of difficulties include attention deficit disorder, autism, traumatic brain injury, and certain kinds of neurologic conditions such as multiple sclerosis. This category also includes disability-related fatigue. Here is where instructional design makes such a huge difference. Modular is the way to go, and so is providing information in multiple formats, including at least one format that is not ephemeral. Oral presentations are ephemeral if you don't allow recording devices. So how likely are you to encounter a student with a disability in your instruction? In post-secondary, it's about 1 in 10 and increasing according to the U.S. Department of Education. Older undergraduate students, those who are over the age of 30, are half again more likely than your younger students to have a disability. And veterans are over twice as likely as non-veterans in college classes to have a disability. And those are two population segments that are increasing in terms of enrollment in many institutions. In K-12 education, it's estimated that approximately 13% of U.S. students receive some form of special education services. That's also increasing. Why should you be concerned about instructional accessibility? First, there's legal reasons. In the U.S., the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, requires that people with disabilities have equal access to public programs and services, including education. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act ensures that programs that receive federal money provide reasonable accommodations so that they do not discriminate on the basis of disability among otherwise qualified persons. And similar laws exist in other countries. There's also a moral reason for being concerned about accessibility. Educators share a responsibility to ensure that all students have equitable access to the information that we're providing. Still, another reason to consider is the effort required for you to prepare. It's a whole lot simpler to build accessibility in during course design than it would be to retrofit the entire course after you've been notified that you have a student needing special accommodations. You can click the two giver posters down here to my right, to your left, to get the latest Virtual Ability Community Note Card. Please discard all previous versions of the Virtual Ability Note Card if you have any. You will also get a landmark to the auditorium here, and the other poster gives you a note card about joining us for an opportunity to discuss healthcare as part of one of our major research projects. Are there any questions before we move on to the second part of today's session? I'm not sure what your friend needs to know, but she can certainly contact me. There's my email. I've been trying to speak slowly because I know that voice is not working particularly well today, but I've also been told to slow down a little further. The text is going a bit fast, so I will try to do that as well. So now we're going to start the field. I'm going to teleport to the link that I will provide. That's going to be the beginning of our new resident orientation. Please remember to take a step forward or back when you land to avoid climbing on top of each other's heads like circus acts. But stay in the general area, please, where you land until it's too late. So there's the swirl. I'll meet you over there. Thank you, Fidget. There's a slightly different swirl. I think we're missing a couple of people. There's Fidget. There's Pianke. Welcome again, everybody. We're still on Virtual Ability Island, but we are now at the place where your brand new avatar would land if you entered Second Life through our website. And there's the website link. I will claim that our website entry is an accessibility feature. For those who need special assistance, which includes people who are completely blind, or people who have low intellectual capacity, or people who have other disabilities that require personal assistance, we can provide that help through our skilled mentors. If you or your student need assistance in learning to use Second Life, please contact info@virtualability.org and let us know how we can help. We're now going to walk a little bit, and I'm not going to talk. As you walk along the path, you see posters with a sequence of instructions. The posters actually illustrate several accessibility design principles. We tested the poster design with default avatar settings to be sure the poster was easily visible. That's why the posters are not vertical, they're slanted. We also asked people with low vision to tell us what color combinations worked best for the text and the background. That's why we've got a cream, not a white background. And that's why it's a slightly textured background, not flat color. We selected the most readable font we could find. Now, we're not going to go through the whole course now. We're just going to go through the first 2 legs of it. I know you've already acquired these basic skills, but I do want to point out some features of our orientation course before we hop over to the last stop on our field trip today. Notice that the posters here have yellow highlighting for some of the sentences. These are activities. Doing activities helps adults solidify their learning. Let's turn the first corner and walk a short distance. So we're walking again. Maggie, are you seeing us okay?
So Maggie has indicated that she sees you perfectly, and
Okay, great.
She is out of range of your text.
Okay, that's fine, but if she sees me, it's okay. I just want to make sure everybody's where they can see.
She typed yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Each skill taught here on the course is self-contained, and the course is modular. But we also use the previously taught skill to learn the next skill. Notice how the first skill you learned was walking. You not only had to walk straight, but you had to turn the corner and then turn again towards the posters here. So to learn for this new section, you'll also be practicing your newly acquired walking skills. This is the section that teaches about using the camera. It's a very important skill, tricky to learn, and it's foundational to most of Second Life. Using the theory of andragogy, and again I'm giving you a link, we created problems for the learners to solve. Here they have to walk out onto this bridge. Notice you had to turn away from the posters and walk. Walking again. We all here? I think we've lost Astra. I've been sending her teleports. Yeah, I know. I thought so too. Here on the bridge, you turn again, and you look out over the pond, and you click on the butterflies that you see. Charlotte, would you like to help make sure people are gathered? That would be great. Thank you. This, of course, is practice using your newly acquired camera skills, and it's problem solving too, which adds need. How do you click on the butterfly behind the weeds? You might have to swing your camera around and look from the back side. Are there any questions at It's all visual fidget. For people who need auditory, we have mentors who read the signs for them. And for people who are using a different viewer, you'd have to have individual instruction anyhow. Thanks, Fidget, for typing. Other questions? Somebody got a butterfly. No, we didn't ever consider making them note card givers, Jaden, because newcomers at this point have not been instructed even what a note card is, let alone how to find it in their inventory, how to read it, how to collapse it, etc. Too early. Yep. Exactly. So now we're going to pop over to the island that's directly west of this island. We're going over to Health Info Island. That's the second main public island sponsored by Virtual Ability, Inc. As the name implies, this is an area devoted to providing health and wellness information. Instead of human interaction, as you would find in the auditorium, the classrooms, and the orientation course on Virtual Ability Island, much of the information on Health Info Island is designed to be used asynchronously. So it's in a different format. It's in a poster-only format. I'd like to show you how we make that format accessible. Here's the slurl to get to our display area. Please remember to step back or forward when you land. There's the slurl. And I'll meet you over there. Oh, most of us got over here. That's good. There's Fuzz. Thank you, Fidget. We're going to look more closely at this display about service animals, this one right here in front of me. Please come on inside, and I'll point out a few features to notice. Sorry, I'm bumping into people. One thing is, we limit the amount of text on each poster, and that's to make for good readability and comprehension. And this is a good practice to use anytime you're doing PowerPoint slides. To make the display more interactive, and thus to make it more memorable instructionally, you can click each poster and get additional information put into your chat. Please click the posters. I hope it's not too laggy. Is everyone getting the additional text? It worked for Fidget and Nitro. Jaden found something interesting. The text only goes to the person clicking. Fidget says it gives it out without putting it into nearby chat. One advantage of these clickable posters in the virtual world setting is that the URL links become live when they're in chat. I don't know if you've noticed, but when you put links in note cards, they're not live, but they are live in chat. Another feature we included here is that the text you get when you click a poster appears only for you. You don't spam other people around you with text that would probably be confusing to their comprehension. Now, text-only viewers can see the unique name of each poster, and you can see that each poster is named individually by using the edit function. But since the text of the poster is an image, the text on the poster is not in ASCII. That text is not accessible to those who are using screen readers. Therefore, we make the entire text of the display available by clicking the title poster for the display. I want to encourage you to click that poster now. If you did not do so when we entered this area, it's out front if you missed it. You can cam or walk out there and click that poster. Did everybody get that note card? Okay, Maggie got hers. Yeah, you have to cam around, or you can walk out there. I mean, it's not that far. Peonia got hers. Nitro got his. Fuzz is showing us where the poster is. Yes, Jaden. A lot of people are using Unicode characters and other symbols for their SL names. Many times those are impossible to decode. Screen readers choke on them. I consider myself symbolic disabled. I can't figure them out mentally. If you would look at that note card that you got, that summary note card, on that note card you're going to see one additional accessibility feature. When the image on the poster is important to comprehension of the material, we include a description of it. Yes, thanks, Jaden. Now I have to look at those. Fidget is agreeing she also has difficulty decoding those. Are there any questions about accessible static displays of information? Right. Thank you all for your attention today. It's been a pleasure sharing with my fellow educators. I hope this presentation has given you some ideas on how to increase the accessibility of your coursework and of how Virtual Ability can assist you with that process. Thank you, Maggie. The first step in accessibility is always awareness, and that was my instructional goal for today. Please click the color-changing box in the center of the floor here. It'll give you some presents, including the scripts that are inside these posters. So, any last questions? I want to thank Maggie for filming through the Second Life issues that have been occurring today. It does show why voice plus text is useful. And Jaden points out that the text is also useful for people whose first language is not English, because it's easier to put text into a translator tool. Thank you all. Yes, Nitro.